Hey everyone, welcome to day 4 of Code Week. Today we're going over ASCII image art, and this is the beginner version of the workshop. So what we're going to look at today is how do we convert a color into a certain character. Alright, so something like orange, or something like black, or something like white, they all are represented by different characters. And if we just look and do a quick Google search on ASCII image art, we see that ASCII is basically just a series of characters, right? And thanks to these characters, we're able to instantly recognize what the art is. But the original picture is in color, in fact. All right, this is in color. Yet the ASCII art is able to convert it into characters, and it doesn't have colors anymore. These are just all, characters. So how do we do that? Well, in the beginner workshop, we're just gonna look at, let's take one color, and let's transform that into a character. And in the advanced workshop, we're going to bring that to a whole new level, and we're actually going to be able to take any image and convert it into an entire ASCII art. We're not going to be doing that today because this is the beginner workshop. But it's a building, it's a stepping stone. Because the beginner workshop, you can think of it as we're just taking one of these pixels, right? And a pixel is just one color. And then we're going to convert that pixel into a character. And the advanced workshop is really just doing that process for all of these characters. Okay, doing it for all of it. And then returning the ASCII art. But in the beginner one, we're just going to go over one character, okay? So I have the code over here, and we're just going to go over it. So what we're going to do is, first of all, we import argparse, and we define our grayscale over here. Okay, and this is going to be very useful in here, because the darker it is, the bright, like the higher intensity it is, we want to have it over here, and the lower intensity we can have it over here. All right, so something that's super high intensity. See how these characters are almost like 100% dense, whereas the last one is just empty, right? Like it's just space. So that represents something that doesn't have any density. And because we have all these values, our eyes are able to notice the contrast, and we're going to be able to create very cool looking ASCII arts. But anyways, let's go over our function here. Transform color to character, and we're just taking a hex color. So hex color, I can show you all, is the hex color generator. It's a way of representing a color. And so we have this tool here. So something like this color, this will be the hex color for it, okay? And it's just a code that we have over here. So later on, like when we are actually testing out our functions, we want to enter in a color, and it's going to return us a character. Okay, so we take that in as an input parameter. So this is a function, and here we're inside the function. The first thing we're doing is taking in the hex color, and we're converting it into a RGB color. This part is not super important to understand, but it's the algorithm. It's like a function it's a simple function we use to transform this hex color into an RGB color. And RGB stands for red, green, blue. So we're able to divide the color into red, green, and blue. So coming back to here, this is the hex color, and this is the RGB color. So this is red, green, and blue. And so it's just how do we translate this into this, and that's what we're doing over here. Because ultimately we want the RGB color, and we take the RGB color, and we're going to divide it we're going to take the three values of the RGB color, and we're gonna add them up and divide them, take the average basically. So we're summing those three colors and dividing it by 3. And that's gonna give us our grayness. So in other words, like if we have everything here would be 0, 0, 0, then it's black, okay? So for black, what we're gonna do over here, so let's imagine this. This is 0 plus 0 plus 0 divided by 3 is equal to 0. So pixel grayness is equal to 0. Then we choose our character, okay? So character is equal to grayscale at index 0 divided by 256 times the length of grayscale minus 1. And so 0 times something is equal to 0, okay? So if it's completely black, we're going to take this first value, okay? We could have also done it in the reverse and taken the black value, the last value. So it's kind of inverted. But the way I've defined it, since it's in descending order, not ascending order, it's just the colors are going to seem a bit inverted, okay? But in the end, it doesn't matter because the result is going to look very similar. So we're going to take this value and we divide it by 256 because pixel grayness is valued between 0 and 256. And so if it's closer to 0, it means it's very dark, and if it's closer to 256, it's going to be super bright, okay? And so if it's super bright, we're gonna have something closer to the end of the string. And if you guys are not familiar with this annotation, this is basically indexing. So if we do like grayscale, if I run grayscale, so let me run this. So this is my console. All right, so I just ran this. And so if we do grayscale at 1, at 0, God, I have the French keyboard. Grayscale at 0, it's going to take the first value, so it's going to return a $sign. Okay. If I take the second value, so at index 1, it's going to take this at here. Okay. And so just like we can iterate over a list, we can also iterate over a string. Okay. And so this is basically how we pick our character using this algorithm. So we have to multiply it then by the length of grayscale minus 1 to pick it, because you know, how do we it's like scaling, right? So it's something out of 256 and we want to convert it into something out of the length of this. Okay, so if it's 0 out of 256, 0 out of 256 is equal to x out of something over the length of grayscale. So this is math. You want to convert, like, relative to 256, how much is it relative to the length of grayscale? Okay, and so we do this. Maybe I should use paint to illustrate this. Okay, so we have our grayscale. Okay, so this is our grayscale, and it's from 1 to 256. Okay, so 1 being not, I mean, I'll just use point, and 256 is like super intense, right? So this, I'm using black, which is confusing because you know what I'm trying to say. So it's 1 to 256. 1 is being super light and 256 is being super dark. But the length of our scale, the grayscale for our ASCII characters, is only it's 0 to 250, and our grayscale is from 0 to length of grayscale, right? And all of these are like characters. So we have our $sign here, we have our at, blah 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 blah, and our last is just an empty space, right? So we want to map these values to here. Okay, so if it's something here, we want to map it. If something's in the middle, we want to map it to something in the middle of 0 to length of grayscale. So what we can do is just x over 256 is equal to y over length of grayscale. Length of grayscale, okay? And so we can just do this cross product. So x times length, if we want those two to be equal, x times length of grayscale is equal to y times 256. And so in the end, this value would be equal to x times length of 256 divided by x times length of gray divided by 256, or x divided by 256 times length of grayscale. It's the same thing. And so this is what we're doing here. X being pixel grayness, and then there's length of grayscale. And we just do -1 because we start at 0 and not 1. And so if this value is 256, then it'd be 1 times a length of grayscale. But see, length of grayscale is 70. But we can't index it at 70 because it's going to give us index out of bounds. Okay, index out of range. So we just have to add a -1 so we make sure we don't encounter this error. And then lastly, we just print a character over here. Hopefully that was clear. And then we just write this main function that's going to convert a hex color into an ASCII character. And here we can just pass in an argument, which is the hex color, and we're going to transform it. Run the function, okay? So let's try it out. Python tutorial.py, and then we're going to define our character, our color, sorry. And so let's see here. So something close to white. Let's use something here. So this is black, okay? So this would represent something on one end of the spectrum, and indeed it is. It's the first character. So remember, something that's super dark, we said it would be closer to the left, and something that's super light, it should be something closer to the right. So let's try white now. This is FFFF. Okay, and if we try that, indeed we see that it's the period, which is at the very end of our grayscale. And if we try something like orange, you know, we might end up with something in the middle. Let me copy this. Yeah, and indeed we have V, which is something in the middle, right? So the orange color is something in the middle. And this is essentially how we can convert a color into grayscale. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. I know it was a bit, I went over some of this code pretty quickly. If there's anything you don't understand, you can message me on Discord, Steven Gong. And good luck on the challenge. It's going to be about just going the other way around, trying to find a way to convert a character into a color. And so the exact challenge is going to be in our Kurius Discord. So make sure to read it over it carefully and have a good rest of your day.